I'm back with another video. This one's called Prevention Before Punishment. And it's similar to my last video, which was called What is Peace? Now, if you haven't seen What is Peace, you might want to see that before you see this one, because this one's it's kind of like a follow-up. Not exactly. It talks about some of the same things, but it goes more in depth. So, first of all, what do I mean by prevention before punishment? I've been talking about wars, conflict, peace, and so on. Prevention would be diplomacy, negotiation, warning, even. And punishment would be violence, destruction, and so on. War, basically. So the first question I should ask is, why does everybody want to join the military? Other than the fact that they want to go to a good college, so this can help get them a good scholarship for a college, pays for their education, which is a great thing to do. And a lot of people used to do it carefree because there was no wars going on, so they just needed to be in the military for a certain amount of time, and they wouldn't have to avoid death in order to earn an education. As we live in a world today that if you go to war, well, recently, in the last 10 or so years, if you go to the military, you need to prepare for war. And so you're almost fighting for your education and fighting for the rest of your life. Not fighting for the rest of your life for the longevity, but you are fighting so you can live for the rest of your life. A lot of people who are in the military believe that their country is correct, that their country is the right one, and that they need to defend their country. And that's where we get mixed up, is patriotism or just believing in your country too much is deadly to your brain or to anything. It's just not a good idea. We should be more call ourselves citizens of the world rather than I live here and this is where I want to defend because we're right and we have technology, we have money. That's not a good idea because that does cause conflict, and that's what causes war initially. So some people are overly patriotic. Some people, very few people in the army, or excuse me, the military, any military, some of them actually enjoy killing people, which I find that not as a good thing, but our government doesn't find that as a problem. As long as they're over there killing the enemies, it doesn't really matter to them. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, before any of you, if you're watching this and you've ever thought about going to the military, you should ask yourself, why am I going? Will it matter that I'm going? And what will happen because I am going? Am I fighting for the right cause? Because I know a lot of veterans who have gone to war, and you know, like Vietnam, let's say for instance. I know a lot of veterans from Vietnam, and they're in their 60s and 70s and so on now, and they wish they had never gone. At the time, they had been overly patriotic. They thought they were right. They thought they had to defend their country, and instead they ended up with no results. Basically, Vietnam almost settled nothing. So let's move on to the next question. What is diplomacy? I think I've addressed this before, but I'd just like to remind you because it's relevant to this topic. Diplomacy, excuse me, is using social skills and actually using more reasoning and rationality in order to solve problems in the world, in your country, or just between two people, instead of physically fighting or even verbally fighting. It's a way of settling things without having to resort to punishment. Negotiation's part of it. Negotiation is basically finding out what both parties want and then finding a middle where both parties get almost what they want, but neither party has too much, or else the other party will whine, as we know that will happen because we're not stupid. We're people, and we've lived long enough to realize that that's what happens when one person gets the short end of the stick. They end up whining for it. Why use diplomacy? That's just basically an easy question to answer. It's because we don't really want to kill everybody or even harm them. And do you not feel better by settling something without having to get beaten halfway to a pulp? I know I do. I like to use diplomacy and negotiation a lot better than attacking people. I have been in fights before, but I try not to. So, yeah, I guess diplomacy would be a good way of not getting yourself killed and not really killing other people without a necessary cause. When I say killing, it doesn't need to be killing. It can be attacking, whatever. Why doesn't war work? And that's a simple one to answer. The simple and easy answer to that is you are adding to the problem. There's already conflict, so by attacking them, you're causing more conflict. It's kind of like adding more wood to the fire. The fire gets bigger, and it's much harder to put out. Don't start with the fire versus fire thing, because I know all the philosophy behind it, and there are ways of putting out a fire by making it bigger. I understand that. However, when it comes to war, making something bigger than it needs to be is not really the answer. So war just makes things way too big than they need to be. Take, for instance, Desert Storm, which, honestly, we've never exited Desert Storm. They say we have, but 9/11 was just kind of a reminder that we're still in war. Desert Storm was all about oil and resources. And instead of settling it in a diplomatic manner, we just started attacking, and I mean, that's an example of when a warning doesn't matter. Do you understand that when you have a third world country who doesn't have a lot of money, and they realize they have the opportunity to get a lot of money by attacking an even smaller third world country, warnings don't matter. Negotiation could matter. But that didn't happen. We ended up in this large war and so on. Next would be, when is war right? That's a very hard question to answer, and really, it's not something we can look at as of recently. Even in the last 100 to 200 years of wars, we have not really had a war that's necessarily worth fighting. The only wars that really made a difference was the Civil War, which did make somewhat of a difference. But wars generally don't settle things because they're not conducted the right way. Do I know the right way to conduct them? No, because I'm not a fan of wars, and I'm not going to look into that. But I do think that people who plan on using deadly force should really understand how to use it the right way. Why does life fall apart for people in and outside the war? Now, it's not just the lives that get taken away in the middle of a war that are the sacrifice. As you all know, I'm sure, the economy gets totally screwed up when a war starts, because we have to use so much money to keep it going, to keep the war going. And many people don't realize that the United States and just North America alone provide a lot of money around the world. And it's not here, have some money, type of issue. It's that there's a whole system to it. And when the United States decides, oh, we want to go to war over every little thing, we're screwing the world. We're not just screwing ourselves. So, yes, lives get taken. That's a terrible thing. But also, the economy fails. Law-abiding citizens end up turning into citizens who don't want to even care about law anymore because they see things happening so badly. Why should we trust the government if they can't even handle a war and supporting the country that they're supposed to be worrying about at the same time? So I think we've covered quite a bit here, and I'm going to end it at that. And if you have any questions to ask me, any insults thrown my way, I'll welcome them. I'll just throw some back at you. And if you want to compliment me, that'd be nice too. See you later.